The Ready, Set, Grow podcast is sponsored by Ag Expert, software designed for Canadian agriculture. Visit them today at agexpert.ca.
Welcome to the Ready, Set, Grow podcast, where we like to showcase startup and early stage companies, as well as visit with innovators in the agriculture and food industry. Today, we're here with Joe Dales, co-founder at RH Accelerator, and Tyler McGee, founder and CEO at Shepard Farming. Tyler, thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up on a family farm in the northeast corner of Montana, 2 miles south of the Canadian border. So agriculture has been in my background and my blood since the very beginning. Cattle and wheat mostly, but a couple other things depending on the year. And when I started getting into that wonderful time between high school and college, really getting into my undergrad degree, I knew that I wanted to work in ag and technology because I saw that as this really exciting place where problems are solved. And in agriculture, we've got a lot of them. So it was an area where I saw as really just an open field for opportunities to really solve problems with this breakthrough technology that was developing at the time. And that meant that I spent the 4 years of my undergrad degree just tormenting my professors by turning every single project that we did in class into an agriculture thing. And I had several professors that I'm still very close with say, please, please, please stop pestering these farmers and go do something with Apple or Amazon instead. And I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. But it was really cool at that time because we had mobile and the App Store and cloud that were just starting to come into their own. And that was where I said, wow, this is what's going to make this agriculture technology space really take off. And then as I was working through undergrad, did my research thesis on disruptive innovation in agriculture. Texas A&M saw the work that I was doing and said, you're coming down here for grad school with us. And then Syngenta saw the work that I was doing in grad school and said, you're moving over to North Carolina to work in our research and development site over here in RTP. And so that was really my background, really agriculture the whole way through, but always focused on solving problems with growers and using these really cool new technologies, but applying them to our industry in a way that makes sense for it.
Yeah, we've been impressed with your enthusiasm and passion and drive. So tell us, a little bit about Shepard and how that started and where you're at with Shepard these days.
So when I was at Syngenta, I served as a research architect, and my job was really getting projects out of the lab and into field trials, working with a lot of folks in offices, but then also on the farm doing research field trials and getting things pivoted from one side to the other. And I kept running into this problem when I was out there working with our research partners. And it was, you'd be working on these massive operations around the country and in some cases even globally. And in agriculture, we all know this, where we focus so much on efficiency that equipment is as automated and as efficient as it's ever been. We've got seeds that are bioengineered for certain traits. We've got chemicals that are as powerful and as safe as they've ever gotten. And yet, when you look at the way that farms operate, and even my family farm included, it's like a time capsule back into the 70s or 80s. It's all paper driven. You spend hours on the telephone. You never really know exactly what's going on. And I remember we had one farm here in North Carolina that I walked into their farm office and saw a wall covered in yellow Post-it notes. And I said, guys, what in the heck is going on here? And they said, this is how we keep track. We actually move the little Post-it flags around the wall. And I said, how's that work? And they said, not great. Sometimes the stickiness wears down and they start falling off. And that's a problem for us. And so I went back to my manager at Syngenta. I said, we actually had a concept for this back in college, believe it or not, all the way back to like dorm rooms late at night, that type of deal, freshman and sophomore year. And I said, I think we have something for this and I'd like to take a stab at it. And he said, well, whatever you do at nights and weekends is your deal. So go have fun. And I taught myself how to code. I wrote a very, very crude early prototype of Shepard, and I gave it back to some family farm friends up in Montana. And I said, test this out. Let me know what you think. And is there something to this? And so they did. They used it right into the busy planting and spraying season. And they came back and they said, yeah, there's some value to this. We like this. And that was when I reached out to Tim Hammerich of the Future of Ag podcast. And I said, Tim, what do I do with this? Because I've been listening to you for a while now. And he connected me with Pete Nelson of Ag Launch. And I had a call with Pete. And it was a really interesting one because, again, still at Syngenta at the time. And I explained to him, here's my background. Here's the problem we're solving. Here's where we're at right now. And Pete and I really hit it off. There was a lot of common vision behind what ag needs, and especially bringing the farmers in and making them part of that decision and that feedback process that just doesn't get enough attention in our industry. And, call went very well. And then I, went home for the day after that, and I was sitting there out back with the dogs, and I get this phone call from Pete. And I was like, Pete, I just got done talking to you. He's like, come to Ag Launch. He's like, I've thought it over and I want you in this accelerator group. And I think we can do this. Go get plane tickets to Memphis and get the insurance in case I can't pull this off. But I think this is going to work. And so that's how we got started with Ag Launch. And we've been, going through research trials with them ever since. Huge fans and supporters of the Ag Launch Farmer Network, and really, really strong proponents of that vision of bringing the farmers and building a network of them and making them part of the decision making and the iteration process and making things that really work for agriculture.
Can you take us through the Ag Launch process a little bit and what it was, starting the business, going through that, and what your company looked like on the other side?
Absolutely. So when we started with Ag Launch, like I said, we'd done a little bit of feedback and prototyping with some farms, some friends of mine up in Montana, but that was really it. And so we started with the accelerator program. I went to Memphis every other week for a week long, and would do training on here's how to run a company, here's how to do a pitch deck, here's how to present in front of an audience. And the whole time we were doing that, we were talking with growers. So getting ready to start thinking about doing field trials, understanding their problem. And there's one farm in particular that I really want to highlight, and that's Mid-South Family Farms in the Delta region. And Scott Fullen, the owner of that, great farmer and a great friend of mine, actually met up with us. And when he first heard what we were doing with Shepard, he lit up and he said, oh my God, I've been waiting for something like this, because their operation is spread across 3 different satellite operations in 3 different states. And it was that idea of being able to keep track and keep records and really get an understanding of what workers are working on, even if that field isn't right next to your farm office, that it doesn't matter where it is geographically, that you still have a connection to it and that you feel up to date and in the loop, that you never feel out of it. So the whole time we were going through Ag Launch, we were talking with Scott and other growers and getting ready to start making the proposal to them of, hey, we would like to work with you. We'd like to be operating on your farm through this really awesome Tennessee Department of Ag-based grant program that they have. And that spring, we spent, really getting ingrained in Scott's operation and a number of other farms. And then through that entire season of 2019, we did an enormous amount of feedback. Every 2 weeks, we'd push out a new version with little tweaks and minor updates, all the way to major features that they really helped us refine and improve. And by the end of the second phase of Ag Launch, we were in a really good position to then go and say, all right, we have something here. The farmers have validated it and say, this is a problem that we have, and this is a solution that solves it. And go to the investment community and to others and say, we're pushing forward, we're moving ahead with this.
That's terrific. We we love Pete. Met him in the early days of farms.com when we lived in Memphis, and he's such a passionate champion of innovation for agriculture and working with startups. So anybody that doesn't know Pete, encourage you to check out Ag Launch, and that's great. That's great that you were involved in his program. Tell us a little bit about about the software and the app now. Easy to download. Downloaded on my cell phone, and who it's targeted to. What are some of the benefits for your customers, your target customers?
Absolutely. So Shepard is quite a bit different from the way most other farm software systems work. A lot of them, and not all of them, of course, but a lot of them follow a very strict hierarchical model. They want to build what basically amounts to a spreadsheet and get you some financial reports at the end of the season. Shepard is what we call a task management platform. So the way that it works is it breaks every single thing that's happening down on the farm into tasks. It understands that really nothing gets done on the farm without somebody doing it in the form of work. And when you understand that, it really changes the mindset about how you view what's happening on your farm, because you can really clearly see tasks go from somebody creating a task to handing it off to the person who's going to do that work, the person then working on it, finishing it, and then eventually that going and being archived into the master farm records. So what this means is that there's no coming in at the end of the day and spending an hour or two in front of a computer doing data entry. The data is captured automatically as tasks go through their life cycle. And what's really cool about that is it opens up a whole world of opportunities about how to operate the farm, where you're now taking the farm manager away from putting out fires and really putting them into more of a strategic role, where they're saying, how can I make this operation run as efficiently and as powerfully and as smoothly as we possibly can get it, where you can be thinking ahead rather than what has to be done today, because if it doesn't get done today, then it's going to be a mess tomorrow. That's really the mindset we want to get farms out of. And so the way the platform works is you have either on your phone, like you said, or now we support a web app and a dashboard where the farm managers and the farm owners can sit down and create tasks and work orders, and they send that out to their workers. The workers get those tasks on their phone. It shows up as a little push notification that says you have a new piece of work that is being requested. They mark it as either accepted or declined, and then it goes into their work queue. And their work queue shows them everything that they're responsible and accountable for getting done. So there's never any lack of clarity about, all right, what do I need to be working on right now? And then when they're working on that piece of work and when they're done with it, they mark it as complete. And then the person who created that task gets a notification back saying, this has been done, this is completed, and it's taken care of. Now, one of the big things that we did last year, and we did a lot of feedback with farms to get to this point, is we've also built a brand new web app and dashboard. And this was based on feedback where they said the farm workers love Shepard because it gets them out of having to do the long morning meetings. They don't have to be on the phone all day wondering, what needs to be done next. It makes it really clear for them. But they said the people in the office really wanted a way to take advantage of the computers they had in front of them. And that's where we started from. When we started really diving into the problem, though, we realized not only could we do that and create a way where you can make tasks and work orders from a desktop, but you could also have essentially farm mission control on a screen mounted in the office, 55-inch TV screen that shows everything that's happening on the farm. And these are the things that you need to be watching most carefully because they could amount to problems if you don't, have somebody take care of them now versus the things that you don't have to worry about because they're already taken care of or they're on track. Now, you asked about which farms are really going after first. And for us, it's really about the farms that are operating like a business, where they say, we have some sort of farm management role, we have workers, we have teams, we need a way to keep track of these people, and make sure that things are getting done and that things are in order. But we've done a lot of talking with family farm size operations as well. And I always sit down and I talk with them and I say, look, I came from a family-sized farm myself. So don't worry, we're not forgetting about you. We will be coming back around with a version of Shepard that's really tailor-made for that size of operation as well. And what's interesting is, in not all cases, but a lot of them, what they're looking for is very different. For the larger operations, they're looking for a management tool. They're looking at this as enterprise management software. But for the family-sized operations where they're having breakfast and lunch together, they don't necessarily need that in the same way. But what they are looking at is the automatic record keeping. Because when they're talking about generations handing off the farm from one to the next, they have to have a way to keep all of that information sensibly in order so that the generations can learn that you don't feel like you're starting from scratch each time, but where you don't have this massive burden of this data entry because there's not enough time in the day as it is to get everything done. You don't want to be putting more burden and overhead on the farmers. And that's been one of our core missions from the get-go.
Yeah, we've tried out the app and it's taking, an interesting approach on how to solve this labor issue that we do have in agriculture. If I'm a farm and I'm interested in trying out the app or getting some more information, how would I do that?
So there's two ways to do it. The first is obviously you can just go to the App Store and type in Shepard Farming. You'll find us. Every app comes with a free 30-day trial, so you can actually get started on your own, test it out, see how you like it. But probably a better approach is either to find us on social media, on Twitter or Instagram, or just go to our website to the Contact Us page, reach out. We're more than happy to sit down and walk you through the process and get your whole farm set up. We've gotten really good at training farms, and we've designed the platform in a way that's really meant to be something that works well in the existing workflow. It's not meant to feel like a burden. And we can get a whole farm team trained in typically about 15 to 20 minutes. It's really meant to be fast and friendly. And one of the cool features we've added into the platform is bilingualism. So if you actually have team members that speak Spanish or English, the app will translate automatically based on what your device is set to. And I think that's really cool. One, just from a quality of life standpoint, but also from a safety standpoint too. Or when you're asking people to be operating machinery or be working with chemicals, you really want them to know what you're asking them and how to do it safely. And so we've spent a lot of time putting that into the platform of how do we make it really easy to get started with and really easy to keep using while also being really powerful.
We at RHA really enjoy working with young founders like you. What have you learned being a young founder that you can share? And then once you're done talking about a few things that you've learned, what do you need? How can our community support you in the next part of your journey, building a successful startup company?
It's amazing because whenever I think I've got things just about pretty well figured out, I always realize how much more there is to learn as we keep going forward with this. I was joking with some friends back from Syngenta over lunch about a week ago, and I said that, as much as I learned during my time as an architect, and I learned a lot, there was a lot to learn. I truly feel like it's been like drinking out of the fire hose, founding a company, going through this process, because not only are you learning how to build a product and how to deal with customers, how to do customer support, how to integrate new technologies and keep the pipeline moving forward, but you also have to deal with things like, filing taxes and organizing structure and hiring people and managing the team of workers that you have working underneath you and keeping everybody aligned to that common vision. So it's been incredible. It's been a if you had asked me when I started this what I thought that I would be learning, it wouldn't have been nearly as much as I have learned or in the direction that I have. It's just amazing the things that crop up. And my co-founder Adam and I have to sit down and we're like, all right, this morning we're going to figure this out because this has to get figured out today. And we always do, but it's been a continual adventure. Right now, we're working on raising a round. So obviously, the community looking for support from that. It's already partially funded, so we've already got a lot of people that are really closely watching what we're doing and really liking what they're seeing. But that is an enormous part of what we're doing. And in addition to that, it's finding farms that want to solve this problem. I was joking with some farms back in Nebraska when we were invited by Farm Credit Services to present at their Nebraska Ag Expo. And I said, anybody who thinks that we've got 10 million well-qualified workers who can drive stick that are about to fall from the heavens, they have another thing coming because it's not going to happen. This is a problem that ag has to solve because it's our problem to solve. But the good news is this is actually not the ag specific problem that sometimes we like to make it out to be. This is a problem that other industries have faced and they've solved in a very similar way. And so we know that this labor challenge in our industry can be solved. We know that this is the right way to do it, but we also know that there's nobody else that's going to be coming to do this for us. This is one that the agriculture industry is going to step up and solve on its own, which is a good thing. It gives us a lot of control and a lot of ability to innovate and really drive that solution forward, which is great for the industry.
We know that sometimes agriculture and farmers, agribusinesses can be slow to adopt innovations. Can you just take us through a little bit about how you're getting this product on the farm and getting them to use it?
Yep. So it definitely can be an issue. But what we found is when we have farms that really truly understand the problem and really are vested in solving it, they're very interested in what we're doing and the way that we're doing it. For example, Adam, my co-founder, and I spent about a week and a half last summer out in California. We were invited out there by a good investment group, and they really wanted to see us interacting with farms and wanted to see what the farms had to say. And what was fascinating about that was the challenges that we see in the Midwest and in the row crop side of agriculture. Other parts of agriculture are facing it too, to the same degree, if not even more. And it was fascinating seeing how well the model we've built really shifts from something like row crop ag, which is what I've grown up with and what a lot of our experience is in, into the produce side of ag or even into animal ag, because everything is based around tasks. It's based around work. And so as long as that's a key part of what's getting done on the operation, Shepard is a really nice fit for it. And it doesn't take a whole lot to customize it to really make it work well in those different types of environments. So we've been working with a lot of different farms and a lot of different operating conditions, but the common thing that binds all of them is really this understanding of if we do not solve this problem, we the farms, we fundamentally face a challenge in our ability to operate going forward. This is the single biggest hurdle in our industry right now. And there's so much work being done on, wouldn't it be nice if we had self-driving tractors or if we had robots go out and pick fruit by themselves? But the reality is that there's going to be people involved in agriculture all through my lifetime, certainly, but even well beyond that. And that's the way that we see this problem, is that this is the way that we have to solve it. And it's one that isn't going away, but it's probably the single largest blocker in the industry. And it's one that has to be taken care of.
Yeah, great problem opportunity to solve. And we're really proud of you guys for stepping up, taking the risk, starting Shepard. We know you're going to be really successful. So congratulations on all your progress. We look forward to supporting you with RHA and helping. So thanks for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having us. Thank you for the support. It really means a lot, especially from groups like RHA and others that really see the work that we're doing and say, yes, this is a good thing. That's really, really helpful, and we really appreciate it.
I just wanted to, thank you again, Tyler, for joining us. And I wanted to thank all our listeners for tuning in to the Ready, Set, Grow podcast.